flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes? Any additions or corrections?
I've never seen them.
You didn't see him? For sure?
I read them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Gary, seconded by Tracy to approve the minutes. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Still looking over the claims, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about item 6?
Good.
So I am going to appoint Courtney at 64%, so I just want a formal motion for my girls because they'll get sworn in with me on the 4th. So Nancy and Gina were already deputies, but I'm bumping Courtney up because she's been doing an awesome job.
Good, very good.
So Gina will be staying at 85%, Nancy 67, and Courtney 64. So that really doesn't need a
What were those
resolution.
numbers again, please?
85 is Gina because she's out of my elections. Nancy 67% and Courtney 64. So
Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Tracy made a motion to approve the appointment of Courtney as deputy. The other two are already there at 64% of the auditor's rate. And Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
and I do have that scheduled for 8:30 that morning on the 4th, since we have to meet on that Monday. Because it's the first day of the year we have to meet and appoint all this stuff. So instead of Tuesday, it'll be on Monday.
So we're gonna meet on Monday instead of Tuesday.
Yep, 8:30, Ron. So you get your deputies lined up too?
That's usually the magistrates.
Yep, we'll probably go in the courtroom upstairs.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Mark. Good morning.
What's the day on Monday?
Requests in, well,
Monday, January 4th.
You want to take item 7?
Melinda sent you a letter, right?
Melinda Shopner sent us a letter, and I passed around a copy of that. And this is to appoint the others, well, it says additional deputies.
Clerks, yeah. She had, it's
Slash
always been
clerks.
3 in that office, and
You're gonna need a break.
Michelle started researching it, and I think Melinda just built like 2.
What item is
They're
this?
gonna appoint them all as deputies.
Correct.
What
So
item-
that one has to be by resolution, so.
What was it?
What item is this on the agenda?
It is item 7,
Oh, okay.
and you should have the paperwork over there, Gary, copy of the letter.
She had emailed to you on Monday.
3, yes, she,
Because if you approve that, then the new one copies coming with us, because the other 3 were already done.
sure.
You want it back?
We gotta sign them.
Those-
So just make sure Tracy sees those.
Oh, no. Those you just need to sign. Those are from her current ones. That's for the record book. I think
Okay,
just your
that's for the
signatures.
record book.
Yep.
Yeah, there is a
Should
big
be
place for
Joy
it.
and Rose and Jody.
Have you
correct?
seen-
Right, those are just, they've already been sworn in, we have to sign those
Okay,
certificates.
all right, they just need signed.
But the letter she emailed you, Melinda.
I haven't seen that.
I gave you a copy there.
Thank you.
Did you see the email, Tracy?
Yes, I made a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's request for the appointment of deputies.
Okay,
Second.
all right. And this is by resolution.
Check aye.
Seaman, aye.
And Primer, aye.
Just leave that little wedge in there. Thank you.
You saw the cards here.
Come up with the other ones first.
Well, items 9 and 10 are some budget requests. Item 9 is the Benton County Volunteer Program budget request. You should have a letter there. As Gary pointed out just a moment ago, they have reduced their budget request from last year as they made adjustments. And I believe it said a $20,000 request. So we don't take any action on that, obviously. It's just acknowledgement.
2,000 or 20,000
20
instead of 25?
is what they're asking for. It was 25.
Okay.
Well, this office here in Benton's right now closed down, so. And then item 10, we have to acknowledge the Belle Plaine Community Center budget request, which is the same as last year, $7,600. You should have that letter as well.
Yeah.
And I'll just keep those on file when you're done with them.
Do you have anything on for item 12, any paperwork or something?
I'm gonna do a resolution. So I talked with Melinda, the taxes were 840,
840?
and the penalty and interest, I think, was 19. So I have a resolution typed up, if you guys approve that.
And is this the one that we've been going
Yes.
over for the last couple of weeks?
Yep, and I think Tracy talked to, did you talk to Lonnie again too, Speckner? On that
About-
taxes?
No, I didn't
talk to him.
I investigated everything at the courthouse.
Yep,
Okay.
and that's for Melinda and I, so I did type up the resolution with the penalty
Okay.
and interest.
All right.
Okay.
So it'd be 859.
Yep, total. Mhm.
Okay. So that needs a motion, the second, and then
Motion.
a resolution
For,
to approve the abatement
okay,
of
yeah,
that parcel.
the taxes were paid in full
The
on
last,
the transaction.
yep, yep, so
Yep.
we're talking this current year, so
Yep.
it should really be accepted.
I motion approved.
Second.
All right, this is by resolution.
Beer Shank aye.
Seaman, aye.
And Primer, aye. Very good, thank you. And you see the item 13, reminder, no meeting next week, correct?
Yep, I just did that on.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that,
It's gonna be January 4th at 8:30.
which is a Monday. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll have to remember to post that before we go to New Year's.
Yeah, Friday. Hold it. That'll be this Thursday, won't it?
Next week.
Next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Yeah, I can post it from home too later on, but I just don't want to forget.
In case there's something else that comes up.
Yeah.
Do I don't smell it right?
Well, how you coming on those claims? Getting looked over? Thank you, Mark.
These
Thank you.
autopsies are getting out of hand.
Those are all from Lynn County,
Thank you.
so they
You're
just
fine,
submitted
you're
a
fine.
bunch.
Lay it right on top.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if those were all autopsies or just any from Lynn County.
That's my question is, they got one for 3,300,
Mhm.
just,
It's
can you?
probably not just one, we're probably paying, there's multiple in those.
Is that in this registry?
Yeah, Lynn County, they do theirs periodically and they'll just send a bunch at once.
Do you need that you see that?
Yeah.
There
That's
was,
what they did. I just got a whole bunch from them. They're probably caught up now. I would hope.
they must have done a toxology report on somebody because that would cost $2,037.
Yeah, depending on the circumstances, if they do autopsy or a toxicology. And then there's been some COVID testing on a few that we have to pay. I think it's like $100, so. Yeah, I'm probably gonna be starting to look at, I'm gonna have to do another amendment again because of that public health grant for sure. They've been doing really good submitting the invoices, so they're getting that spent up. And I've explained that to Katie, if I'm behind on paying her, it's because I gotta watch her spending authority, but, so I'll probably have to look at the ME, or I'll do a service area amendment, and we'll borrow from another service area. But, yeah, Katie's been really busy purchasing some stuff. I think she said it's even gonna help pay for some vaccines. They got some supplies, masks, and then it's wages and stuff for them doing the
Pay for
factory.
some vaccines?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's using all that stuff, so.
Good.
She's been submitting, so you'll see some of that was in this packet for Virginia Day,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll have
I've
more
seen
in
that.
the next one, so. Because they have till the end of the month to spend it.
There is one on page 2 for $33,30.76. One medical examiner fee, and most of them, well, there's a whole bunch of them for $428.26.
That's the Lynn County cost. We're paying their medical examiner rather than Dr. Meeker.
And I think Tracy just mentioned that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why was that one so high?
Could have been an extreme case. There's different variations of why and what they charge.
And you also said it could be multiples.
Yeah.
Secondary roads, page 4, 50,000. Secondary road maintenance, Bargain Incorporate,
What was it?
Corporate, 50,000.
Myron's
Hey,
coming, we
Sarah.
can ask him.
Yeah, I would ask them higher because they entered their.
No, below that one.
Okay.
Oh,
Below that one?
Secondary road
bargains,
maintenance.
Yeah,
bargain or whatever.
yep.
Yeah.
What is that for? Do we gotta wait for Myron on that?
Let's see if I can pull it up. Look at the invoice here. What was the company? Actor?
Spelled Bargen. Bargen.
Oh, Bargain Incorporated, okay. $50,195.
I still have trouble getting over this budget, chips. 2,000 for this, 3,000 for that.
Big money.
It is mastic gap repairs completed, traffic control, D62 from Highway 150 east to Benton, Lynn County. So, there's road maintenance, it looks like. Whatever milling of higher raised areas is. Do you know? I don't either, so that's what it's for.
Okay.
Grinding?
Do we need to come back to this? Okay, so there's a motion to approve those
Yep.
claims.
Second.
Tracy made that motion, Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Mark is now your spotlight.
I've handed you all an application for a change of land use from Bill and Dawn Phillips. They're currently of Brandon. The Phillipses are requesting a change of land use for the purpose of building a new residence on the site that we're looking at today. They want to build a new 50 by 100 foot shed, and they want to utilize some of the buildings that are on the property for storage of their trucks and equipment that's associated with their garbage business, which is easy trash. The property is located in the northeast to the northwest and the northwest to the northeast of section 338610 or Taylor Township. If you look at the aerial that I've given to you here, I tried to highlight it for you. There's a couple of acreages that are right together. It's up on the curve north of the airport entrance, just on the west side of 24th Avenue Drive. Shows on the aerial that it's owned by Patrick Michael. Basically right up here in the, just north of town here. It's showing as parcel B there. It's in section 338610 or Taylor Township. That parcel is 6.7 acres in size. The Phillipses would like to change the use of approximately 4 acres. If you look at that aerial closely, the one that I copied here, there are some existing buildings on that site, and then the western part of that acreage is all a hayfield. And the hayfield is where they would like to build their new home.
CSR.
CSR is a 25. If you look at the photograph that I gave you here, this is the hayfield that I'm talking about. It's what that land looks like. The second photograph in that packet, I took a picture of that soil in case there's any doubt. It's a pretty good pile of sand. It goes at least the 6 foot that I could reach to the depth of 6 feet. And then the other photographs there basically are showing you more of an up close look at the existing buildings that are there. As you can see by one of the photos, there are several garbage dumpsters that are sitting outside right now that were sitting outside on a concrete slab that was part of the livestock operation back when. There's a Quonset building right there. In their application that Dawn has submitted, they state that they want to use that Quonset building for the storage of those dumpsters. And the last time I was out there, which was last week, the dumpsters are inside of that. They are no longer out on that concrete slab. The other photograph shows that there's a driveway area there, just kind of generally looking at what that land looks like.
So the entrance would come off the gravel, isn't that correct?
As far as the driveway goes, Rick,
Or
we
they
got,
still easy existing?
we have actually 3 driveways that access this property. There's the driveway that comes off of 24th Avenue Drive over here. The building site's going to be over here on the west side. There are 2 driveways that come off of 55th Street. One of the driveways is about 130 some odd feet just to the west of this intersection. That driveway does not have proper sight distance, and Randy mentioned in his report actually that it is dangerous. If you look at, I have photographs here about this driveway issue. The other driveway that is there is 300 and some odd feet to the west of that intersection, and that does have good sight distance. And the photograph that I have here, the first one about the driveway issue, there's a white flag there. You can barely see it after it snowed, but there's a white flag there. That's the good driveway. The second photograph that I have has a red flag. That's the driveway that's existing that does not have proper sight distance and that Randy has said is dangerous. The third photograph that I have here gives you an idea of why that driveway is dangerous. I'm standing in the road, the driveway's over here to my left. I'm looking up that hill, and you can clearly see up at the top there where that existing driveway is. That's going to be a lot better to try to pull off of that road. In respect to that driveway, Randy made the comment in his report, and I visited with him at length about it. He would like to see that if indeed this use is approved, that you stipulate that that existing driveway that does not meet sight distance that he's mentioned that is dangerous, that it be removed so that it cannot be used. Basically, the idea is
Your aerial didn't show any drives up here.
no, they didn't, they don't show up.
Yeah.
But what I can show you
And that
is,
makes sense to have it there.
I marked it on my map to give you a little better idea. The four driveway is over here near where the Quonset is,
Sure.
and then the good driveway would be up here more towards the center of the
Okay.
acreage up there.
Up this way.
Over here by the Quonset is the poor driveway, and then the good driveway would be up on top of that hill there. As far as the rest of the technical review part of this goes, obviously it's gonna need a new well, it's gonna need a new septic system. I don't forecast any problems with either of those things. There are acreages, there's farmland adjoining this property, and of course there's the airport to the west. The flight path of the airport does not interface with this acreage at all that I'm aware of. We sent out 8 adjacent property owner notices, and of course we placed legal notices in the newspapers of Benton County. We did have one phone call, and it was just primarily asking what those flags were about out there along the driveway that Randy had placed. Now, as far as the plan, this is the type of land that can be developed. It obviously has a low CSR. There's existing buildings here. The hayfield's the only part that is undeveloped. As far as the existing parcel itself, I guess I have one concern, and it's one concern only, is that particular property could use a little TLC. There's been some stockpiling, if you will, a little bit of materials that have been stockpiled out there over the years. I'd like to think that if indeed we get some buildings out there and get it cleaned up, that perhaps it could look a little better and stay looking a little bit better. Dawn has mentioned specifically in the application that was submitted that they do not plan to bring any garbage there. The business part of this is exclusively to have that building, to put the trucks in, and then to have their dumpsters that they utilize for their business inside of that Quonset building. That they're not bringing any materials there that would be garbage specifically is what she mentioned. Then of course recyclables are hauled away, and so they're not going to that property as well. So all in all, basically it reviews fairly well. Any questions?
I got one. Come over here, Mark. This is the map that right?
Yes.
This is 150, right?
No.
No?
No. Actually, this is the boundary of her property
Okay.
that they would buy. This is all one property right now. 150 would be over here.
Okay.
And so then it comes in around and goes to 55th Street Drive on the north side
Right.
of this sketch here.
But on his sketch that he's got here, this is where the red flag driveway would be, correct?
It's right down in this area, yes.
Yeah. So you want him to come back up or here on that?
I want,
Not
based,
you, but
based
Randy.
on Randy's report, I want us to stipulate that the driveway will be up here and that this one would be removed.
Okay. How do we do that?
Just within the motion,
Well, I understand that, but the motion would be where the white flag is,
yes,
correct?
yes.
Well, I don't care for that kind of feeling because
Well,
the flag can move.
We could be more specific than that.
If
We
you
can
got,
say that the driveway that exists, that is 335 feet west of 24th Avenue Drive on 55th Street would be what would be used.
okay, that I could go with.
That sound better?
That I can go with.
What'd you say? 45th? 50.
It's in paragraph number 2 of what I
Okay.
gave you there.
Yep.
It
Oh,
would,
okay. That
it'd be the
driveway.
driveway that's 335 feet west
24th.
of 24th Avenue Drive on 55th Street. That's what would be used. And then the existing driveway that does not meet side distance That's 187 feet west of 24th Avenue Drive, that would be removed.
Are they okay with it then?
I've spoken to her about it, and it was kind of news to her, but I told her that that's what the direction that I was going with it. I don't know that it would frankly present a problem where they're showing where they want to put that new building and whatnot. Makes sense if they're going to be at the crest of the hill, come in and go to that building, go to their home.
I would think that if in the future they have drivers, that driveway would be an asset to get it out of the traffic flow. In other words, if we would leave that driveway, it would be a detriment. There'll be an accident there eventually.
Exactly. There was an accident, what was it, last year, right on that curve anyway, where a
Yeah,
truck
that
was
curve,
trying to
so-
pull into that driveway on
They
the,
already proved it.
the truck was trying to pull into that driveway on the, going to this property. And there was a bad accident there, I think it was a fatality, so
Yeah.
anything we could do to make it safer makes sense to me.
So, on the front page here, it's talking about building a home. Second page is talking about doing the shed. They are doing both, obviously, eventually.
Yes.
Okay. What are they gonna do with the current residents in that drive?
That current residence belongs to Mr. Michael, Patrick Michael. They're buying this, the perimeter of that. If you still
Okay.
have.
So Michael is still gonna live there?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
In that existing home that used to be Hummel's home?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's
Cedar
right.
Stars.
okay.
That existing home stays there. They build a home to the west of that in that hayfield.
All right.
And yes, there is this kind of a commingling. Because they have the business, they'll have some of their items for the business here. It's not to be used for the business. They specifically requesting that it would be residential in nature.
I don't have a problem with this.
Okay.
Questions, gentlemen?
I'm done.
All right, and motion to approve this?
Motion approved with
The
the stipulation of the,
driveways.
yes,
Adding a driveway further to the west, 355 feet or whatever that was.
correct.
And was that to remove the
Original,
driveway to the east of that?
yes.
Yes, okay. All right.
Second.
Is that clear as mud?
You're right.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. As usual, good job, Mark.
Thank you.
Melinda, did we act too fast for you?
You did. You told me you're already done. I'm like, this guy here.
We were on a mission this morning.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right.
I emailed you, but you
Oh, well, I
you were
left,
probably
I had to
crazy.
raise the bank run quick before I came, so. I'm like, if I get there at 9:15, I'll be good.
So they approved it, so I'll type up that resolution and then, the fourth, Monday, January 4th, 8:30.
Thanks,
Okay,
Mark.
that'll work. Thank you.
You too.
There's instructions if you want to use
Thank
the
you,
tile
Mike.
cut thing on that.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good.
That's all right, chief.
Hi, Nora. All good today?
Hello, Scott. How are you? Fire and frog here.
Okay.
Gary?
You told him to get
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be 20 below and you still wear short sleeves.
No, I put
but,
sleeves on when it's about
yeah,
10.
yeah.
Just making sure. I was like, Ron didn't tell him.
I wanna stop and offer him a ride, but I know he's on a mission.
Yeah, I know that.
I will mark, I still mark, I'll find out. You forgot to read the message.
I saw your Christmas
Problem
shopping.
there, I was still on. Saturday? I don't want,
Oh, we're
just walking the hill.
Oh.
Scott and I were on a big project.
That's no big deal.
I caught it
But I
inside
will,
there.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Melinda.
Yeah, thank
Have
you.
a good Christmas.
You too, Merry Christmas, guys.
I think you've all met Mike Day before.
Mhm.
Could've brought his check today, but, oh well. So I'm gonna-
Perfect. Checks email.
Okay, for him today.
Oh, you're fine.
Versus the storm part yesterday's we were all.
Pretty much.
Andy passed.
Speaking of PPE, that was our yesterday's project, was the state had a shipment dropped off at, what do they call it, the node?
The node.
So we went over and picked ours up, and everybody from 14 counties,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we sorted it, loaded it, took all day, but we delivered ours yesterday. Virginia Gay, Lutheran Home, Keystone, and Alpine Care Centers.
And that was
Very good.
donated.
It was all state stuff.
Nice.
There was a lot.
Is it gowns and everything, or
Yep.
just?
Gowns, masks, gloves.
I heard like the Lutheran Home was starting to let some of the family visit their family members, but they do the rapid test and then they can go in there with all that on and stay 6 feet apart, which is
Okay.
still better than
Yeah.
through the window, I think, for them.
Yeah, fun.
So much nicer.
Yeah.
How's the death rate at Keystone? Is that getting better?
We did not have a meeting yesterday because everybody's busy.
Because we were on the road.
We could have,
According to the papers, I don't think there's been any deaths in Iowa for a couple of days now.
At least reported.
yes,
It's probably behind a couple days by the time it gets to the paper.
Probably.
this week, Katie did not know the day, but they told her this week she would be receiving her first shipment of vaccine.
Yeah, she told me that too, which is awesome for them.
I said, oh, so about Thursday, about 3 o'clock, somebody will show up with.
On Christmas Eve.
You might not be too far off.
Oh, I could just see it.
Is it gonna be the vaccine that has to be really cold, or is it gonna be?
No.
No.
This one is coming from, Moderna.
Moderna. It's the one that doesn't have to be super cool.
Doesn't have to be just standard refrigeration, takes care of it.
I had heard that there's some people, they go down after they get vaccinated. They literally pass out.
It makes some people ill. Some people it has no, kind of like the COVID itself, has no effects on some.
Flu shot.
Oh,
Yep.
some
Flu
people,
shots
some
same
people,
way.
it's just the needle and, my dad was that way. You come at him with the needle and he's out. It didn't matter what was in the syringe.
That's
Are you ready, Mike?
I'm ready.
Attaboy.
All right. Thanks. I went ahead and printed it, so I'll go ahead and
Thank you.
hand those out. Just so you know.
Trina, like copy?
Hi, thank you.
See that?
And this is, I recognize some of the faces, but this is the same group that we presented to last time?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Yeah, once again, this is okay, right?
Yeah.
Fogs up my glasses.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike Day with True North Consulting Group, we're a technology consulting group, working with the sheriff and the public safety group to help them with the radio communication system. And we again work for the county and have been working through this. Last time I think we presented kind of a summary of what we had found in our initial report back in 2019. I think it, and so we've done some kind of further research since then, and we wanted to get in front of you and kind of update you to what that has uncovered. So, starting out, I think I was just going to kind of go over the existing system again a little bit and make sure if there were any questions there. I think, Benton County's radio system is much like a lot of the counties in the state of Iowa. One of the key understandings there is that they operate in the VHF frequency band. So that's basically the public safety band that was developed in probably early 70s, and where a lot of the counties have landed. That's key to understanding kind of the differences to where a lot of the newer systems are going in a different band of 700 to 800 megahertz. And so, VHF was not necessarily designed to do and has the capacity to do some of the needs of the modern radio system. So a lot of times migrating out of that band is a requirement. They've got some like a lot of systems. The radio system was built kind of around what was available as far as tower space in a lot of areas, or where there was a hole they might plug in a repeater. So we would call it kind of a system of disparate radio systems. So there's maybe a coverage off of one site, coverage off of another site, but not necessarily that common footprint that covers the whole county. So, but the county has made some investments in tower sites and tower shelters, and so a little better off than maybe some of the counties. Just this chart was another big piece in the study. Subscriber radios are a big part of any new radio system. Counties choose to support that in various ways, and we'll get into that, but gives you a little bit of understanding of about 500 radios, which is pretty common numbers for most Iowa counties. Again, some of the issues that the current system has, radio coverage being disparate, being not necessarily complete across the county. Portable coverage is a big key. Older systems don't penetrate in buildings. They were never really designed for that. Again, they were kind of designed around that common tower site. And so, and also with the advent and the enhancement of metal buildings and low E glass, getting inside of buildings is just becoming harder and harder if you're not starting from a radio system design that's intended to penetrate those locations. So. Just a couple of images of the existing sites. The county has since purchased a new tower site just northwest of Benton. I think I've got the name in there, but it escapes me right now. And then, of course, finally there, just again, some with the existing systems, some of the coverage and information that was in the study, and shows exactly how those systems kind of come from the various locations. So again, with modernizing the radio system, you're looking at that key change is just designing the system from the ground level to provide that coverage need that the public safety is looking for, that in-building penetration. These systems are again, they're simulcast, so we get that common footprint, no matter what channel, whether it's a law enforcement channel or a fire channel. They're all working off of the same coverage footprint, and we do that by simulcasting, transmitting off of multiple sites and receiving off of multiple sites at the same time. In order to do that, we've got to link these sites together with a microwave system or some type of digital gateway to get the information passed around from the various sites. So that's also a key piece of this system design, is the ability to link that together with microwave. or link those sites together. One of the things that the county has since done, since the last time we talked, was purchase a paging system. So that's kind of in its final stages and getting ready to migrate over to that. So that piece of the earlier need has kind of been taken care of at this point. So counties acquiring new systems. So a lot of times, once you've completed that study, and the counties decide to move forward in the process, the first thing, that acquisition would be done with a request for proposal acquisition. A couple of the things there, kind of understanding the radio business. There's really a couple of players, especially in these modern systems, in the design, and the amount of engineering and design it takes, the expertise to design one and build it. There's two major manufacturers in the industry, Motorola Solutions and Harris Radio. The third would probably be Kenwood. We don't see too many Kenwood systems in the state of Iowa. There's really hasn't been. Motorola Solutions is a lot of times the engineering level is supported by the manufacturer themselves. In the state of Iowa, the Harris manufacturer is supported by Raycom. They're a strong radio vendor and they have the expertise. And so in the state of Iowa, they represent most of the Harris systems. And then Kenwood would probably be in the same boat as Motorola. If they were to design a system for the county, they would probably do it from the manufacturer level, because we just haven't seen a lot of the we don't see a radio vendor in the area that supports that level of design. And so those are usually most of the RFPs that we've generated in the state of Iowa for updates usually just have the two responses, the Harris and the Motorola Solutions. These systems have really impacted the small radio shop. The local guy or a couple of guys that supported the radio business, they just they don't have the expertise and the knowledge to build a system like this. But building the system in an open request, getting responses, evaluating those responses, negotiating a contract, and in our processes, a lot of times there's the next big piece that really takes up a lot of time in the operation as well is the civil work, the getting the towers ready. In Benton County's case, you've got a lot of sites you can rely on, but in some counties they're building brand new sites, or they're working with the existing tower owners to lease space off of those. So that civil piece takes up a good chunk of time in the process as well, but ultimately, even from this stage here, you're looking at least a 24-month timeline before you actually have a working radio system and you're putting your users on it. So, and then a lot of times, the financial piece of that is a big support level, as well as understanding. In the state of Iowa, I think most of the counties we work with, they do it through a bond mechanism. So most of the time, these phases all require multiple payments over the 24-month. You don't normally just pay up front, but the radio vendor may get 5 payments dispersed out over the implementation. The civil contractor comes in probably midway through that period of time, and then again gets those multiple payments. So working with each county and understanding how they're supporting it financially is a challenge as well. So again, for Benton County options and some of the things that we've seen, we've done a lot of projects in Iowa. I'm actually based out of Indianola, did radio communications in the Des Moines area for years. But our projects in Iowa have taken kind of a unique pathway compared to some states. This P25, the radio system that you're looking for, the public safety is a standard that is used. Those are normally billed by a state, and then each state can use can have a different kind of a different outcome for the other users in the state. But in the state of Iowa, the state built a Motorola Solutions system. It basically came to completion, I guess, probably earlier this year. It was designed to cover the state with mobile radio coverage, so there's not a guaranteed site or two in every county. There's about 80 sites, I think, that make up the state of Iowa. Users are welcome to come to access that system and become a part of that system, but a lot of times when you want to enhance that system, you're going to, and this would probably be a solution that was provided in an open RFP from Motorola. You're going to get, you're going to create your own cell of coverage within the existing system, and it will be an enhancement of the existing system. So the other unique area in the state of Iowa is what we call the SARA system, Shared Area Radio Agreement, and this is the Harris option that we've seen, and kind of came out of the initial creation of a Harris radio system in Lynn County, and then in Johnson County. So those two were the initial two counties that built their own radio systems, and then combined them together with the control mechanism systems, and then that also has since expanded greatly with Raycom building some systems for various other counties, and then many other counties adding to that, so Blackhawk and Dubuque, Quad Cities, so Washington County, Iowa County. So it's beginning to grow. So when we looked at these two options, this Motorola Solutions and Harris, what we see is and big differences here. Again, this is the mobile radio coverage system, but gets enhanced by some counties and added to usually with about the same amount of coverage or sites that you would need to cover your own county. And then the Harris system, kind of a collection of these county design systems that have already reached the level of probably portable in-building coverage in each of the counties, but everyone can be different. But when we look at these, Benton County is basically surrounded by the Harris and Raycom or P25 system, SARA system rather. This is kind of a very skewed slide, so I apologize for that. But this is a couple of images from the ISIG system, and you can see there's some sites that surround Benton County, but for the most part, maybe one site away. If you were to use the Motorola Solutions or the ISIG option, you would design your system, or they would design your system for coverage, and then you would be allowed to rely on the local sites. Your radio channels would roam onto the local sites, and then after that, after you extend beyond the next neighboring counties, your radio channels, you would have to move to what the state calls mutual aid channels. So your radio channels carry only to the neighboring sites, but you get the enhancement of the neighboring county sites. Both radio manufacturers the P25 standard basically allows the radio, the user's radio, basically the same level of operation. The radio itself is going to look for that home system that you've designed. Once it doesn't see that anymore, it's going to look to any of the neighboring systems that have been put in it. So you definitely would see an enhancement. And as we looked at this with the Sarah system, so these are the neighboring counties and the Sarah or the Harris option, and you can see that the enhancement of sites in those neighboring counties, and that would then give you the ability to use those systems and the extended coverage that they provide because of their designs being countywide and being in building coverage. So one of the key understandings, I think, is that the Sarah system, currently as it's structured, allows the roaming of their public safety channels on the system, anywhere on the system. So again, back to kind of the description of Essex, if you were to leave Benton County on the Sarah system with one of your public safety channels and even end up in Polk County, that channel would still operate all the way from Polk County to Benton County, but without the user having to switch to some mutual aid channel. Sam is here.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
The Sarah system is the blue dots. What's the green dots?
Where's
That's the issue.
These might be Raycom. They might be either links or Raycom towers. Some older. I know this is a older Raycom site. So these might be Raycom. These might be the vendors' towers as opposed to county-owned towers.
Okay.
That would be my guess. Yeah.
So from what I'm hearing you say so far, to be interrupting, the Sarah system is in wider use or wider area for use compared to the Essex, correct? For this area?
In this area, it would provide a more thorough coverage. So as you're looking at it from Benton County's perspective, you're going to build the system here. And if you have to get over your borders a little ways with the Sarah system, you're going to have a much better coverage footprint over these borders.
Sure.
Now, without a doubt, if you wanted to go to Sioux City, and on the Essex system would go to Sioux City. Eventually, the Sarah system runs out wherever there's not coverage today. So, in Wright County or wherever.
So that's where they switch over to the mutual aid channel.
You could switch over, yes. And keep in mind that a radio user in this, whether you have a Harris radio, whether you have a Motorola Solutions radio, you have the ability, once you're in that 700-800 frequency band, to have both of those systems in the radio. It's just a matter of operational, how that impacts the user. So,
Okay, thank you.
you bet. So, in looking at the group, obviously wanted to focus on and believe that Sarah option is probably a very likely scenario for them. If we went out to a request for proposal, that would be one of the solutions, and how would that look? So we were able to, the acquisition of these systems, again, a request for proposal. Some counties have put out their own request for proposal, gotten responses. We've seen counties put out a proposal and gotten one response. We have a little bit of concern that might happen in Benton County because of that previous slide where, it just looks like kind of you're surrounded by everybody else, and you would probably likely make that decision to go. So Motorola might not even come in with an offer. We've seen that happen in other counties. We've seen counties that, instead of putting out the request for proposal, went to a direct purchase option and purchased off of another county's contract. I think that was done in Iowa County. We worked with Dubuque County, which purchased off the Blackhawk County contract. So we went to Raycom, the vendor, the Harris option, and we asked them about creating a design for us so we could get an understanding. It also gave us the ability to kind of say to them, we want to use these sites in our design. The county's already invested some money in these sites. We want to know what that's going to look like if we use those sites in the design. Again, not something that is required. If you go to an open request process, the vendor could come in here and present whatever they wanted. But this, we've always tell them those are the options we'd like to choose. So we got a design. We got that design down to 5 sites. 3 existing sites, once we added the Rogers, I think it was the Rogers Tower. And then we with this particular image, the Raycom chose to move away from the site down, Norway site down here, because of the height of the tower. They needed a microwave shot in between these towers, and the tower that's existing there today is not tall enough, and they were concerned of the ability to create a taller tower in that location. So they went ahead and moved away from that, gave us an option up here. These are what we call greenfield sites. There's no towers there today. So part of your project, if you choose to move forward, would be to build some towers in those areas. But we got the 95% coverage for Benton County. This is in-building portable coverage in like a home, a residential home, and it provides 95% coverage, which is the public safety level for the P25 system. So what's that look like financially? Raycom provided the design. They provided us a proposal based off of Washington County contract. If you remember, or I just threw up here kind of back to our study. Our study provided 3 general design options and what that might look like if the county moved forward. At that time, we had this 6-site option. We had 2 greenfield sites, which are key understanding, because greenfield sites are an expensive part of the project as well, whenever you have to add them. And then and there are also a lot of unknowns. You don't know if you have to purchase land or anything like that, or pay a lease fee over the course of the system operation. But we were at about a $9.7 million budget on our study. Moving forward, Raycom provided us the proposal based off of the contract. We're now down to 5 sites. We're using the Rogers Park site, and we've got 2 greenfield sites in there that we just looked at. And and then this is a turnkey budget. So Raycom provided this budget and this proposal turnkey, so it covers an estimation of the civils costs as well. So right over $7 million, and the 3 big pieces there, as you can see, the radio infrastructure. This is the actual radio system. You build it, the towers, the antennas, the line, the equipment at the base of the towers, subscriber equipment. So again, this is county-wide subscriber equipment, not just your county agencies, but all the other communities and cities. And again, some counties choose to handle that differently. We can talk about that a little bit as well. Some counties choose to support just their radios. Other counties choose to support all the purchase. Because again, these are radios the radios they have today are not the radios they'll have to have when this system goes online, because of the frequency band change. And then, of course, the civil costs. Right now, they've estimated those civil costs in their proposal at a little over $2 million. So that's what we've got from them. And And we feel the site, the 5-site design is probably a minimum level unless you wanted to even back away from the standard of in-building coverage. But again, we're looking at, we also need that microwave ring, so we also need to connect all these sites together. It's very difficult to build like 2 sites and then add a site, every couple of years and enhance the system because it has that overall design from the get-go. And of course, I threw in there the other slide of always the additional things that sometimes are eventually going to be needed once you build the system. This is a very robust system. It's got backup generators, battery backup systems so that it can operate 24/7, 365. Now, I took a look at this, and a couple of things that, as we discussed a little bit about the Norway site, because the Norway site today has a nice shelter in it. Those shelters are about $70,000. It's underneath about a 110-foot tower, which is not tall enough in the location. I estimate we would need at least, I think it's a little taller than 110. I'd estimate we need maybe around a 200 or 250-foot tower. Raycom's concern is because in the state of Iowa, we've seen challenges to siting a tower near a cemetery, and that one is within view of a cemetery. And so they were concerned that that would not happen, and then they went to the Greenfield site in doing so. But if we have to go that route, that forces the county to have to purchase another shelter because you can't just pick, the old radio system has to run while the new radio system is being built. So that can add a considerable $100,000. I don't even know what land acquisition might cost. So that can add quite a bit to the expense of the civil work. And I do believe that's what they've estimated in their number. Now, I checked with our civil engineer. We work with a civil engineer on a lot of our projects, and he's of the same opinion as me, is that's not necessarily a guarantee that you're going to get turned down just because there's a cemetery nearby. That it's worth exploring that. If you were to get approval to build the tower, you can build the tower right next to the existing shelter, and you can reuse that shelter and reuse that space you already have. You already know, I don't think you pay anything for that site. So you already know you've got a site there. There's a water tower there. It's not, to me, it's not like we're going to throw up an obstruction in the cemetery that's not already has somewhat of the same view that you're seeing today, albeit a smaller tower, but still seeing the tower from that location. So again, he's telling me for, probably even under $7,000, we can get that yes/no question answered. And so that to me is worth investing in. If you can get that, and if you get approval for the Norway site, I think it drops your civil costs considerably. There's a few other ideas there. Professional services is a line item that for our support in the project, as well as the civil engineer support in the project. I went back to the original Raycom contract for just the radio system and for the subscriber units themselves. And so that's right at about 4.7. And so I think you're getting, you could potentially, or best case scenario is maybe you could get to under $6 million. So that's the information. I think we've gotten to this point. Of course, I think we're at a point, you could take the proposal that Raycom's provided, you could begin negotiating off of that, but you need from the county kind of that agreement that legally you're comfortable with doing that. You're comfortable with acquiring a system off of somebody else's contract. Again, a lot of counties have done it, so, but again, it's every county's legal interpretation of that. So that's one of the things I think that we're looking for direction from the Board of Supervisors. And then, of course, obviously the financial commitment is a big piece as well, and how you would handle that. A lot of counties we've worked with have bonded for it. I think the public safety bonds don't need to be voted on. I think the radio system falls into that category that we've worked with. Some counties have chosen to do it in other avenues. We're working over in the Quad Cities, in Rock Island, Illinois, which is part of that project. They've got a lot of larger communities that they're asking to pitch in, so they are basically pulling the money along the way that they need from those communities, and then the counties, supporting the process. But they've chosen that avenue. We've got a county in Wisconsin that has chosen that avenue as well, knowing that these projects can take a couple of years, and we've broken down how those funds are needed throughout the project, and they've chosen that direction. I think back to subscriber equipment. Subscriber equipment. Again, this is a very generalized number. We haven't done an exact inventory. We think that number is a very safe number today. But as you can see there, again, $2 million almost in radio equipment. So there again, if you would choose that your various agencies need to purchase their own equipment, if you give them some direction that you're going to get there, they're going to have a couple of years to come up with their own funds. But they will need to migrate off of the VHF equipment they have today and into the 700-800 megahertz equipment. There is an option to purchase multi-band radios for operations, so they can use the VHF channels today and literally with the change of a knob in the future use the 700-800 megahertz. But that equipment costs a little bit more, and you wouldn't want to have to do that for every piece of radio equipment. So, but again, with the planning time, the understanding of the direction, they can slowly get to what they need. So, I think that was pretty fast, but I know it was a lot of slides. Questions?
Just a couple things I'd point out here. We are the island at this point. Tama County signed on, Blackhawk's been on, Buchanan is coming on, Lynn, Johnson, Iowa have been on. What this system
Power
is.
Chic is just starting down the SARA process, literally like last month or something.
Okay. One thing that differs in what we have requested is that all the base, the controller part is Benton County's. We're not tagging on with another county. Lynn and Johnson did that. We didn't want to go down that road. If somebody wishes to change stuff in the future, then you gotta try to keep up. And we wanted to put our system in. And the other thing is we are labeling it a true system by the county, just like with the paging project that we're doing, it's a true system. If somebody brings a pager, which they could do, they could put a pager that's not on the approved list on the system, but if they have problems with it, that particular piece of equipment not performing, if that's not part of our system, we won't entertain fixing it. It will be the approved stuff on the system that the county buys. And if somebody says, well, we need 3 more handheld radios, and they go buy them outside of the contract in a year or 2, and they're not up to the grade of everything else, that's their stuff. If it doesn't work, it's not part of our system. That's kind of where we're at now is we've got multiple radio vendors involved in programming radios and pagers. And the first thing we get, if somebody buys some new stuff and says, your system's broke. 99% of the time, it's not our system. It's the equipment they bought, and the person who programmed it didn't know all of the pieces to do programming correct. So we want to eliminate that in the future.
Right, you're an analog VHF radio user, so now your challenges are gonna be, eventually is, and even the state is, the state is already moved to 7,800, and so they've moved their mutual aid channel. So your users are gonna, eventually, these users out here, you won't be able to talk to them like you maybe could in the past, where you would have their channels in some of your squad cars, and if you had to run over there and help them out, you would just literally, the officer could switch their channels. You have to come up with solutions that have limitations in order to make those bridges today. But, or you have, Benton County would ultimately have to start buying dual band radios so that when they did get over to those counties, they could switch and talk to those users. But yeah, going from analog to digital, going on these systems, these are not systems, you literally, it's like a cell phone, you can't get system service unless the right guy puts the right information in the piece of equipment. And so a lot of counties are also moving to encryption so that digital can be heard, but it's a little more difficult, it's a little more expensive for somebody to buy a scanner. But a lot of the channels are moving to encryption, which is completely silent to the public. And so there's a level of that going on in the both the SARA and the ISIC system as well. So encryption will be pretty commonplace in a few years as well.
So we're the last county in all those counties up there. Jasper don't look like they've done much.
Jasper is using some of this. I think the county sheriff is using a tower or two. They did not build their own county-wide system. They worked with, I believe, Raycom and just installed some coverage there. That system is operating so they can access these other systems, but yeah, they don't have a coverage footprint of covering their whole county. Mahaska, they're getting their civil work started right now, but they chose that smaller footprint with their sites, and I think they're supporting a little bit off of this Raycom tower as well, the Palo site. So that's probably why it's on there. So yeah, it could be, as you look at this map, I mean, we worked with Washington County, so that's 95% in-building coverage. We worked with Blackhawk, 95. Dubuque had to dial theirs back because such rugged terrain up there. They were up to 10 towers, and that was, it was going to take like 12 to do the county, and so 10 was where they kind of stopped it. It's a little less than in-building coverage, but it's pretty good coverage for them. Definitely better than what they had before. So you can adjust a little bit on the coverage footprint, but like I said, I think 5 sites is probably as low as you can go without breaking that level. And then as they design this site, excuse me, they're also taking into account, we want to cover the city of Benton with even a greater level than that in-building, because we know there's, some manufacturing plants here and stuff like that. Bigger buildings are harder to penetrate, so they like to bring that tower as close as possible to this city so that you have that improved coverage in these buildings.
This has been coming down the pike for quite some time. Other counties are 50–60% higher costs. I've heard some, at my meetings, out-of-county meetings like Heartland or up there at Central Iowa, juvenile detention. There's quite a few counties that get together, and this is just, yeah, we're behind the times. I get that. My question comes comes into being is, how are we going to, as a county, are we going to stand the 100% of the costs countywide, as Mike had indicated, as a choice that we have? Or are we gonna have the ambulance services and fire departments, city police departments, are they gonna cover their own costs to get on this system? So that's the kind of direction you need from us.
That's right, that's exactly right.
And I think it's a hard thing to pull the trigger on because we don't know what those costs could be. What's it gonna cost the city of Benton Police Department and the city of Benton Fire Department? Well, larger community like this would have a little easier time than, I'm gonna pick on Garrison, or, Blairstown, smaller communities with their fire departments. I hate to see this burden go to them, but on the other side of the coin, I'm not sure Benton County should stand full force of it. How would any of this work with, and I know lost revenue funds will only be a fraction of this. Could any of that money be utilized for the fire departments or ambulance services, et cetera?
Well, the townships levy for the fire, but they don't have to levy for ambulance, some of them choose to, which they're trying to pass, which that was in legislation this year and it didn't get passed, for like the emergency services levy rate or whatever, but I would say mostly using GO debt to pay for that stuff. Because lost, you're not guaranteed every year in the same amount, so it's kind of hard to plan your payments based on that if we have to split it up.
What kind of interest rates are the general obligation bonds hitting us with? Hopefully fairly low.
What was ours, 2 point something the last time we did one for buying this building? I think it was like 2.25, but I have no idea. We'd have to take that out for bids from the banks and go through that process again. So. But if you're thinking of doing it this next fiscal year, we're gonna have to put it on this budget.
Oh, yeah.
So how soon are we even thinking that we have to go to this?
So I guess that was one thing that I didn't cover. So if you said to me, we need some, we need to refine these numbers and wrap them around some kind of idea of sharing, and maybe even negotiate directly, if you give me the you're comfortable with that legal direct purchase, then, we would probably be able to have something like that in a few months.
I mean, if we had a rough estimate, we could put it in as our debt service and we could always have the public hearings on it later. But it's my understanding, you said this does not have to go in front of a vote because we have a threshold we can go up to without voting on it for normal reasons, but I'd have to research because I think ours could be up to 750,000 without an election.
I've never, had to do a lot of the, that part of it. We usually just take the direction from the county and their legal opinions. And so, but I have been told that, in particular in Washington County, they just went through this. In Washington County, they not only had the radio system issue, but they had their dispatch center operating in the old jail, which was the old sheriff's house back in the day. So they ended up having two projects, a $7 million radio project going on, and then right at that same time, they started a $3 million building project to put the new dispatch center in. And I know they had to go out to vote on the $3 million dispatch center, but they didn't go out to vote on the $7 million radio system. So what that exactly means, I'm not sure, but I know that's how it unfolded in that county.
Okay, and I can reach out to our gentleman we use for our obligation debt, so he'd probably help answer some of those
We
questions.
need to know.
There's something, I can't quote, there's something in Iowa code when it comes to public safety that allows you don't have to go to bond or to a vote for the bond because it's public safety communications related. And Dave, I'm sure could probably find that.
Or Bob Johnston.
Or we can just reach out to a couple of counties. James County did the same thing. Tama County worked off Washington counties, right?
And you said Iowa County's in there too?
So,
Yeah, they're already, yeah.
Talk to Jessica too.
So-
And we have some contacts, if you need
I
a
can reach
legal,
out.
how they legally interpreted it. We did get some contacts from Raycom on that. So, not from them, but from the various counties.
Iowa County did theirs a little different,
yeah,
correct?
Yeah.
They're tagged on with Johnson County's controllers.
Oh, so they're just paying a
so
portion
they only spent like 4.5 million.
rather than the whole.
I don't think we want to.
I shouldn't say only in front of 4.5 million, but
I think the piggyback option, just,
You don't want, rather not do that.
Yeah, we
I
just,
just.
And we can show you all those. I mean, we can literally give you a presentation of the differences.
Well, make sure.
You know, it's a decision. You know, back to, you talked about subscribers, and again, this is the list that we're working off of today. Again, this could be refreshed. We could actually pin those numbers against, what Raycom has identified as the cost of the radios. I would also throw out that I've seen options where a county supported a certain amount of each radio or supported something, but again, we can literally tell you that your various communities like Benton, this is how much they would be in for if you put the whole burden of subscribers on them. So if that's information that would be helpful, we could develop that.
I don't understand why the county'd have to pay the whole bill.
well, I guess the question would be is, if it's a resident of Blairstown, are they paying double if they're doing the county and the city obligation bonds, general obligation bonds? Are they getting hit twice?
But like all the fire departments,
Well, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah, so, because you don't have a police department down there, you get a fire department. So if we ding Blairstown Fire Department for their share of this system, is that hitting the individuals twice in that fire district? Not only with the county, but also the fire district? I mean, is that what it does?
It could, the way you describe it, that makes sense to me.
I mean, that's what it could do.
Yeah.
Whether it's, and so.
but
if
you're
you
only
have-
paying for one radio, whether it's a
Well,
sheriff's
but
office or the,
But then you could also maybe look at it that you're not dinging them for some other town's radio, so I don't.
Well, that's true, yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
different pockets, I get it.
That's a good accounting question.
Yeah, well, and when you get to the larger communities, well, even Urbana has a police department, they've got a fire department, and they're in the county. And so, I mean, that's 3 different areas. And I realize that each part of that, they could be paying $1 for, fire department, $1 for their police department, another $1 for, the county share.
Yeah.
And the whole hopes of that is then people out in the county, well, they've got their fire districts too. So
Yeah.
they're gonna be hit with that as well, so, yeah, it's just.
You're dividing up this piece of the pie, so you're dividing up, you might have to ding everybody for the infrastructure.
Right,
But then maybe the question is this
On
piece
the
of the pie, are you just, I think that makes sense to me. You're taking a little less or a little more depending on where they're at.
so are there grants or anything of that nature for purchasing equipment?
Grants are a challenge. Most of the grants, the federal grants, are centered around subscriber equipment. There are opportunities there for subscriber equipment. Very difficult, unless you are able to use the time that you have. So again, say you felt like you wanted to, the county would take on this responsibility and start building the system and let everybody know that their communities have to find their radios over the next 2 years. Let's say, best timeline right now, even if you said go today, you're probably not gonna see this system completed until 2022, towards the end of 2022. So you give them a little time, they might be able to go out on an individual basis and find some grants to help them. It's very difficult to find grants for this piece because you have to commit to doing it. It takes that 2 years to build it, unless you can find some grant along the way that would help support your funds, but it's very difficult to say we're gonna rely on that because there's a lot of times they wanna know when it's gonna be built, when it's gonna be completed. They don't just give you a couple of years to get it done.
So if we ask the fire department, ambulance services, police departments, whatever, to purchase their own equipment, are they gonna end up like with the sheriff scenario, getting Joe Baggy Donuts here and Johnny Good over there and not have it all compatible?
And
It's possible.
Yes.
that's where we're at now.
Okay.
If we build the system and through 911 and emergency management, the system is maintained, then we can completely control that and we don't end up with,
So
Where we're at now.
what I'm hearing you say is you would be more comfortable with the county doing the whole ball of wax?
yes.
Yes, we would.
Okay.
That way when we're done, we have a complete system.
Sure.
Control.
Yeah, we want the single source vendor
Yeah.
for all the equipment.
Yeah, and if it was gonna cost somebody $3, it's gonna cost them $3, whether they've got, city police, fire department, ambulance service, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
The other part of that is it truly becomes a countywide emergency services system
Okay,
where everybody's treated equally.
sure. Okay. Now, and I'm sorry to be dragging on with the
No, you go
questions,
ahead, I've got plenty of
On
time.
these 2 pages, you get a project budget and a project support. There's $1 million difference.
So,
What I'm asking is which one are we looking at?
All the,
this one,
We've got this one, the project budget, which was
Or
$7,063,000. And then you got the one you just clicked away from, which was just under 6.
so this is the Raycom proposal that we have today.
Okay,
We have not negotiated from it, we haven't done, we haven't looked at it and
stuff
said,
of experience.
add this, subtract that, which is what we would do before we would ever come to you and ask you to approve a
Right.
contract. So that's kind of an understanding of, I think that's a good understanding of maybe even what I would call worst-case scenario of the design that they have provided. This, I would call the best-case scenario of the design that they have provided.
So for budgetary purposes, we would be better off figuring on this 7 million.
I would start with that right now for budgetary, yep.
That makes sense.
The second one that's better is with the idea that we're gonna rebuild a new tower at the current Norway site.
Correct.
Which would save that,
Yeah.
pretty much that
And
much.
the whole cemetery thing
Yeah.
is just a visual, nothing, I mean, that's all it is.
That's all it is. There's
it's in
Part of
the agency that has the right to say no has said no before to other people wanting to site towers near.
Where we have currently a site or
Yeah.
a tower at that site, they could say no to a taller tower.
They could.
They could.
Yeah, and so, and a lot like building, these projects are a lot like building a building, even if we go this route and we want to try and do the best, if we came to you, we'll come to you first with a contract for the radio vendor. So those numbers will get kind of finalized, but there's always unknowns. So we'll also tell you, put some contingency money in there. And then we'll come to you with civil numbers, estimations. Again, an estimation, there may be some of those contingency monies in there as well, because the civil projects, we have the engineering, all the engineering work done. That's usually released on a bid request, because in the state of Iowa, building buildings and digging holes is something that has to be done in a bid process, not a proposal process. with a lot of the interpretations of our clients. Some of them have done it other ways, but some of them tell us that that's construction work and it has to be bid. So we get those numbers back in, but there's always that contingency money in the project, because until you dig the dirt up and you might find something that has to be taken care of along the way. So we lot like building a building, we carry some contingency money in the budget just to be safe.
Sure.
The 7,000 for determining that Norway site decision, 911 more to take care of that.
You would have
that
there.
moving.
We want that answer.
Yeah, we've already got, so we're not coming to you for that, we're gonna move forward with that one as a 911 board.
Yeah, I think if you want to go this option, you can exploit, some of the, now that everybody's gone ahead of you, there might be some options to get some of your civil work understandings ahead of time. So maybe when we come back to the Board of Supervisors, we know a little bit more.
We like the Norway site
Yeah.
option of putting in a larger, more robust tower right next to the one that's there, putting in new equipment on it, and then take the old tower down.
Generator's already there.
The generator, the
building's already
building,
there.
everything's
The
there.
whole thing makes sense.
Yep. The other tower project, which would basically be out on the county home blacktop, did identify the property owner. I just happened to run on to Mr. and Mrs. one day that owned the property and said, would you be interested? And they says, we have a tower in that hayfield, and by all means would be interested. So they're not opposed to it.
That's good. Now, the legal aspect, is this something we need to get the county attorney in on? Whether we jump on an existing contract or not?
He wants that decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
With regard to the coverage, we got good coverage now south of Blairstown and south of the Luzerne Blacktop out in the hills, like down by the county dump and Lake.
They are the 95% coverage, and part of that comes from that Norway tower, and the rest of it comes off the Belle Plaine site. And that boosts that coverage. If you go to that Sarah option map there, Mike,
Mhm.
that still shows some coverage that's not the best.
Here,
Well, it's not 95%.
It's not 95%.
Indoor.
Indoor.
right, this is indoor portables.
Right.
Yep.
If I had this same map with mobile, the whole map would be blue.
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
no
the
disc.
mobile radio would work everywhere.
Right.
The tower site east of Benton there,
Yeah.
that basically lines up through the rivers and it greatly enhances. If you remove that site, you got a all the way up to the river valley.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
mess.
They wanted the site, especially in between the two communities too, because they're small enough communities that will provide coverage. But you're getting, I mean, once you get up to these edges too, even if you were on a portable out in the woods out here, if you start to lose your coverage, again, you might pick up Blackhawk County's coverage, your radio would be set up to scan and grab that channel. And since those channels are, that same channel for the officer would work, it just go through their system, through the whole microwave link and back down to the Benton system. And so,
Currently, you've got coverage down in that area, but again, we're on an antiquated system. And by going to the new system, the second column from the right is, for example, Atkins would have 100% coverage,
right,
mobile coverage inside the buildings.
right.
Right.
The big difference today and with a system like this is today in an area, say down here by Belle Plaine, an officer might call out, and since that's linked, the dispatch center might hear him just fine. But maybe another officer who's on his way to help him, they don't hear that half of the conversation. They only hear the 911 half.
Sure.
because they're not all linked together. With this new system, no matter where you talk or when you talk, everybody on the system hears it just as clear as it was if they were in that location.
Well, I don't know that we've got a choice but to trudge forward.
2 years ago, year and a half anyway, we did the grant thing through the state. We have our dispatch can talk on the ISIC system to the state. We don't have that in any of our cars. They can patch us through, and we can talk to the state cars that way. Last day of October, the big talk around channel everybody used was LEA. And the last day of October of 2020, the state took that down. That no longer exists. And now when you could, there were six? There were 6 different tones on it, and you could travel across the state changing tones and still using LEA, but that was hardwire controlled, Scott, and the cost just got astronomical, and so it's completely gone.
Well, again, and it was VHF, and
It was
everything's
VHF.
narrow banded, and the quality is cut in half, and.
The problems were created with the,
VHF is going away, it's just unfortunate, but
the problems were created when they narrow banded, and when they narrow banded, that opened up more bandwidth for cell phone use. They had a stronger lobby, basically what it comes down to, and more money. So when they narrow banded, that's what caused everybody in the country huge paging issues.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
So cell phones use radio frequency, obviously. In the future, let's say 20 years from now, we're gonna have to trash this system and put in something else?
Your next system, and it's even kind of underway today, it's called FirstNet. It's the federal government has given, they set aside for public safety, what they call broadband frequencies, the ability to send data. And they partnered with AT&T, so it's part of the AT&T system, but AT&T gets the frequencies that the federal government set aside for the public safety sector. But it's basically today, the devices that you can get today, the sheriff's probably spending money on data connections for his cars and sending, emails and license plate information back and forth. And so that's where they're starting now. That's where they hope to kind of get the public safety users over to that. They claim at some point in time in the future that it may be a good voice option, but it's a long ways away, and it's not really, it wasn't designed for that. So now, it's who knows if it'll ever get to, it definitely would take forever to get to a coverage level like this, that you could go inside a house and be able to use a voice option, but.
So there really isn't any fear of us buying this system and 5 years down the road it's crap.
no.
Well, this system's gone from the 70s, so it's been just short of 50 years. And so we'd like to think that would happen.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the television sets that went from analog to digital.
Yeah, it takes a while. The best case, and this is what they say, is that at some point in time in the future, when an officer has his FirstNet device and his radio, that as time goes on and he's just no longer, he's mostly doing whatever his job description is on the FirstNet device, that radio will just kind of on its own just, be not used as much. But that would be best if that happens within probably the 15-year lifespan that you would run this system. And so worst case would be you get 15 years from now and you still don't have a FirstNet option like that, and you've got to make a decision about a new system. So
we currently, our FirstNet subscribers, Although if you have an AT&T cell phone in this part of Iowa, it doesn't work well. But on the FirstNet, they have signed agreements with US Cellular and whoever else is out there. We push data to our cars on AT&T equipment now. That's who bills us for it.
It's the building out that, if you're to the 5G network, that's what they're anticipating doing, but that requires like multiple towers everywhere, little cell towers, because the range is not that great. So like down in Benton, they probably have to have like 50 little towers all through town to get that true 5G. But that's all the cell phone company paying for that, that's not us.
Yeah. Yeah, AT&T gets money from the federal government, and they invest the money in the system to make the system. They have to meet milestones, but it's still in its infancy. And
So what do you need from us to get going? Just deny?
I'm just looking to Scott and the sheriff, but yeah, I think, to me, the agreement that you would try and financially support a project, and the agreement that you would probably want to try and do a direct purchase and not an RFP or something. And so,
Well, that all kind of makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Gentlemen?
Where's the tower in Norway at?
Up on the park.
By Water Tower.
Water Tower. A place nobody ever goes unless you live in Norway. So it's east of the school, up on that hill there, and east of the school, there's a park out there.
But it's not at the cemetery.
No,
The cemetery is just up north of that.
It's north of the cemetery?
No.
It's south of the cemetery.
Okay.
It's across the field, so if you were in the cemetery, you would be able to see the tower. And that's the concern that the regulators have shown in the past, is that if you could see a tower from a cemetery, they were concerned that it was breaking, was damaging the aesthetics of the view you have from the cemetery. And again, it's, according to our civil engineer is a firm that we use out of Wisconsin, and according to them, it's kind of one of these things that has come up in Iowa more than it's come up in a lot of other places in the country. So somebody who has the authority there just doesn't like the way it looks. And so you gotta kind of do some extra reports for them and make them feel comfortable that you're not damaging it.
But because we have an existing tower, and because the city water
Yeah.
tower is there, we think 7,000 is well worth, because we think we're gonna get an exemption, just because it's not citing something new that wasn't there before. It's just making it a little taller. We think we got a very good shot to get an exemption.
Other questions?
Are we gonna bid this out, or are you folks the only people?
So that's the direct purchase piece, yeah. This is, you had two options if you bid it out, and assuming both bidders responded, this Essex option and the Sarah option. And so, I think the Sarah option might be the only one you would get a result for. And, that process to do that is probably gonna add, quite a bit of time, probably most of 2021 to get started, so.
And here's
If you
the,
don't have to go that route, you're probably gonna end up with the same results if you go this
here's
route.
the other thing about the Essex system, which is the statewide 700 megahertz. The state, put that in place for one reason and one reason only. Mobile-to-mobile coverage for the state patrol and the Iowa DOT. If a county joins the Essex system, and there are a few that have, you have no control.
You pay for it.
You pay for it, and they run it, and they tell you, here's your frequencies, this is all you get, this is all you can do with it, you can't do anything else. And we, at least the responders and the 911 board, we don't like that option.
I don't like that idea.
Okay.
Or Gary, was your question more towards, are there other companies like Mike's company? Is that what you were referring to?
Well, we're spending a lot of money.
Well, they don't get all that money, they get
We went
a
through.
consultant type fee, don't you?
Yeah, that was a professional service.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work for you. We don't work for them, and we don't have anything to do with, we're showing you the numbers as they would be from those
And
vendors, but
The
no, it's not.
911 board, that's why Mike's here, the 911 board did this 2 years ago. We put the RFPs out for the company that would be doing what True North is doing through this whole process. We had like 15 responses, we narrowed it down to 5 and vetted them all out, and True North was the one that got the bid. So the 911 board's already done this, and we did it based on phases, paging, radio, everything. So they're already, through the 911 board, they're already on board as the company.
Our fees are estimated in here along with the civil engineer's fees, and these would be, again, our time basically working for you, implementing the project over that 2-year period. So we bill monthly, over a 2-year period, and, it comes out to us, it's basically our time to participate in all this and make sure you get the radio system that they say they're providing for you.
True North's already worked this through. Like I said, we're ready to turn on the paging system after the first of the year, as soon as the TAC-10 vendor gets up here. But exceptional work through our paging system change. I can't say anything bad about Mike and True North as
It's
a
not
company.
while I'm in the room, right?
This has been very, very problem-free.
So we're good with towers except for the Norway Tower?
Well, there's 2
It
others.
was 2.
There's
Right.
Shelburne, so
We'll
they're
call it the Shellsburg Tower.
county home tower, or whatever you want to call it.
Basically,
They really,
back one more. Let's go the other way. There you go.
yeah, that one does not exist today. That's their Greenfield is new tower. That's their recommendation to help fill in that gap. Because Urbana, what we work off on Urbana right now is just the top of the water tower. So doesn't help fill in that river valley very well, and it leaves some dead spots in the Shelburne area also. I will say this without saying too much. I'm talking with someone at Lynn County about possibly coming together. Are you showing their tower on that map at Palo? Anyway, there's
As far as sharing any towers?
yeah, there's a tower at the Palo nuclear plant that's owned by Alliant that Lynn County is on right now, and they pay an exorbitant amount of rent. Let's just put it that way. So I'm doing some preliminary talking with them about, can we figure something else out over by that area where we both benefit from it?
But that's in a hole, isn't it?
What?
That tower site?
Yeah, the tower, somewhat. It's owned by Alliant, and Dwayne Arnold uses it also, and Lynn County has equipment on it, but it's kind of up on a hill. But they just pay a lot of rent, let's just put it that way. They're not liking that rent. And
So are you thinking your construction of a greenfield site could potentially get them to move from their location to yours?
to benefit both of us.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, just some preliminary talking about now, just to see if they even want to look into it.
Right?
I'm not to that stage. If they want to look into it, then that's coming your way.
Our first idea was, well, we'll just jump on the line end of the
Right.
tower.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Wahoo.
Ooh. Not so much.
Well, I know that Tama County had mentioned to me about possibly doing a joint effort on a tower over towards the Benton Tama County line.
Up in the northwest area.
Yeah, and that's all I'd ever heard, and this doesn't even show one over there, so.
Right.
Blackhawk has a tower that just in the report that we can, we would go through their stuff. But as far as paging and responding, We don't page anybody for that area. That's all done through Blackhawk or Tama County.
Well, did you get kind of a feel for where we're going? Okay. All right. We need to kind of get behind. Let's do anything else for Mike? Gentlemen? Okay.
Thank you.
Looks like you get kind of a number that you're gonna be able to work with for the budget. Yeah,
7 point, whatever million that was.
yeah, 7,063,000 and change.
And again, that would most likely be over 2 years, so it's a hard to
Yeah.
process to figure out what's where.
Okay.
And you know how to spell my name, correct?
Anything you order up.
I can't spell it out loud though.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
We're, from Mexico.
Yeah,
Maybe permanently.
it's okay. I made friends there. You want to tell Santa you can come in here quick? I think she's wanting to get something.
Yes. Well, no.
Yeah, Ron's got more. And Myron, let's give you Myron.
Say, no, Scott.
Kept saying I'm gonna miss it.
Yes.
Sorry.
Give her your wish. Oh. Hey, Santa.
Followed by his elves.
Well, it's been said, the baby's been a bad girl, and she's on the naughty list. I am here to confirm that is a rumor, that's a lie. She's on the nice list,
I
and she's
appreciate
done a
it.
great job this year. So I just kind of wanted to tell you all, Merry Christmas, and thanks for working with us at Extension, but also just have a good holidays. This is tough. Just like I was at Shellenberg talking to some teachers, and I broke down, of course, but that's because that's me. But I said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a tough year. Keep the spirit of Christmas. Make this happen. We're gonna get through this thing. It's gonna be okay. So with that, I'll just say Merry Christmas and thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
See you later. Thank you.
Well, we kept Santa waiting, didn't we?
Just because I wanted
And
to
she
talk.
stayed on the good list. Wow.
I was wondering what you're looking at. I'm like,
Well, he's been here, I think, wasn't he? Yeah. He's been sitting out there for a
He's
while.
magical. He went on the place.
Well, after that, you get to follow that, huh? How's that sound?
You're the little elf in the green.
Okay, Lindsay Upaw is tendered her resignation. She is going to work for the state of Iowa. She will be working in Tama, Benton, and Iowa counties, which leads me to the next point, would be our part-time lady, Adriana Hennings. We would like to move her to the manager position of the rural access point. However, Lindsay would like to stay on part-time to help her get through the, doing the bills and all that stuff for a while.
And you said Adriana would be $20.60 an hour then?
Yep.
Say it
Her
same.
wage would stay the same.
Are you in need of a motion to accept the resignation and then a motion to appoint?
Well, that would be a resolution.
A resolution?
Yeah.
Okay. So a resolution on the appointment?
On the status change for Adriana.
Okay, but a motion to accept the resignation.
Right.
Is there a motion to accept Lindsay's resignation from full-time, then to go to part-time?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Tracy made that motion, Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
It's a resolution.
And is there a
The second.
motion
Okay.
to appoint Adriana Hennings?
That's yes, but we have to vote individually on that one, right?
Correct, but you still have to make a motion in a second.
Second.
So Gary made the motion, Tracy seconded, and this is by resolution.
Beershake, aye.
Seaman, aye.
And Perma, aye. Okay? Got those two, Ron?
Okay, accept the resignation of Michelle Toma. She has been a longtime employee. She's worked in the front office part-time for 4 years now. She is taking a position with Buchanan County Sheriff's Office, and I believe it is a new position up there, doing basically the same thing. But as she says, I can see the Independence Water Tower from my house. It's a little closer,
Quite a bit closer.
quite a bit closer.
Yeah. So is there a motion to accept her resignation?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Tracy made that motion to accept Michelle, pronounced Toma,
Toma.
okay, resignation from the sheriff's office. And Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And we're looking at filling her position. I have one office lady that is working from home. And we would be looking at filling that position. First, we will do an internal posting to see if any current employees are interested in moving into that position. Back in February of 2018, I believe, we actually hired Steve Fish as a reserve deputy sheriff. Steve was working at the power plant. He is retired from there now, but being Steve hadn't done anything with us since we originally brought him on, we thought it was probably for the best that we came back to the board. We start hearing rumors of a new fella running around, and nobody seems to know. Bring everybody up to Steve to approve the hiring of Steve.
I think you've got a letter on that.
Yep.
So you need a motion to approve the hiring, even though you've already hired him?
Back in 2018, we came to the board, but things didn't work out, so we thought
Okay.
it was probably for the best that we came back.
All right,
So moved.
good. Gary made that motion,
Second.
and Tracy seconded the hiring of Stephen Fish as a reserve deputy sheriff. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 You probably heard, Jeff Harnish is retiring in Belle Plaine, which then he has to take time off with us so he can start receiving his IPERS. So once Jeff takes that time off, then we'll work him back in, but for the short time, Jeff will be off.
So is that 3 or 6 months?
It's usually 4 months, but because of the COVID emergency, the governor, they waived some of the time restrictions.
Okay.
So it sounds like he's gonna basically be off January.
Okay.
And then
Well,
we'll be
we have
back.
shortened it up then.
Yep, we'll shorten the way up.
Okay, very good. Is there anything else, sir?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Haley and I work with,
Just was gonna tell you, we just got an email that they're coming for an site inspection tomorrow morning.
what?
A site inspection, it says. And there's gonna be some guy showing up to go around to the damaged locations.
And
Oh.
this is,
For FEMA, for the derecho, so they wanna
Okay,
look at the
okay.
vehicles and such, so I'll forward those to you, because I think it just went to me.
Do you have your thing on?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's over there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't be,
okay,
it's been interesting, right?
Oh, boy.
Myron got a good FEMA one.
They have their process you have to go through.
sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I warned ya.
Yes, you did.
Groundhog Day.
Exactly.
Sure, we just shut that screen
It'll go off on itself.
Oh, yes.
Yep, it times out, but I will forward you these, or whoever wants to be available to show them that stuff tomorrow.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, have a very Merry Christmas.
Yes, you guys too.
Meyer,
Good morning.
hey, we're doing our normal. We're behind.
Sure. First order, East Central Iowa REC is requesting a utility permit to put in what looks like on a map, just 5 poles and an overhead line, but need to get to the east side or north side, however you want to say that. It's Stony Arch, just outside of Benton here to the east. They've got their line that runs along the Iowa Northern Railroad, and they have and that is on 25th Avenue Trail, so they want to tie into that line and go west on 59th Drive to provide service to the utility.
So they're going overhead with that, huh?
Yeah, it's overhead there, how you say, but rather than trying to figure out how to get under there with the area, it's getting easier to overhead poles and do that.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve that utility permit for East Central Iowa REC?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Tracy made the motion, Gary seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's see, 23rd,
22nd,
22nd? Oh, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I started hanging 2021 calendars on my wall, and I kept for the December, and I still put somebody's date on a couple of things I signed yesterday in the office, I realized. I made a count yesterday afternoon and see Dodd put 12/20/20/20/20 and blah, 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 and then somebody corrected me and said that was Sunday. I said, well, I'm not been signing a bunch of dates, you don't put something Sunday.
That's right.
Last Tuesday, the DOT had their monthly construction letting. In that letting, Benton County had a bridge deck replacement project. The bridge over Prairie Creek, just north of Lordstown, excuse me. Although I think there was about 8 plant holders on the project, 2 of them submitted a bid. Jasper Construction Services for $635,596.50, and Peterson Contractors Incorporated $879,597.50. The engineer's estimate was, I think, $880,000, give or take. So, first order of business, if you wouldn't mind just accepting the bids as submitted to the DOT.
No, this is the bridge right there on the north edge of Blairstown.
Correct.
It's got the, okay.
Yeah, it's got deck issues, so, and the project is going to remove the concrete deck that had an overlay put on it by the DOT back in the early 80s. But that deck will get removed, the railing on the side will get removed, the concrete beams that provide the support between the piers and the abutments will remain in place, as well as everything in the stream and below that point, so.
Okay. All right. So is there a motion to accept the bids?
So moved.
Second.
Third,
fourth.
Take your pick.
Third, fourth.
I'll go.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Is this gonna be, coincide with the redoing of the highway, or is this gonna, in other words, it makes sense to do the bridge whenever the road's closed?
Mm-hmm.
Is this all gonna take place at the same time, or no?
It could be very close. It'd be nice if we can get that lucky. I don't know if I've got the timing all scheduled perfectly yet at this point or not, but yeah, it's.
So now we need to award.
Yeah, I would recommend that Jasper Construction Services at $635,000 plus fee.
Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Gary made the motion to accept the low bid from Jasper Construction Services, and Tracy seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Good. All right.
And that project, since everything's being done digitally on contract. If it meets with your approval, I have a resolution drafted like I have the last couple of months, allowing the county engineer and myself to sign on behalf of the board all the necessary contract documents.
Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Tracy made that motion, Jerry seconded, and this is by resolution, correct?
Your shank eye.
Seaman, aye.
And Permer, aye.
Tracy, last week,
Is there two of these?
yes, there is. I think it was last week, I got a request from Windstream Communications to sign a Highway DOT permit for Highway 30 North on 27th Avenue.
Okay.
I contacted them to let them know that that's not a DOT route, it's
Okay.
a county route. But at the same time, one of the individuals I talked to, I said, it's my understanding that your contractor that's been working west of Neil Hall has been out on private property without permission.
Correct.
The individual I was talking to was unaware of that, and he was going to be talking to the president, head dog of the contractor, doing the work and asking for answers. I said, well, it'd be nice to hear those answers before you resubmit your permit to the right department. So, just thought I would update you.
Okay. I know they pulled they pulled stakes last week and they haven't been back. And they're up to the curve. But the line is not, it's not finished.
Anything else, Myron?
I think that's all I have right now.
Gentlemen, anything from Myron?
I got some pictures here for you. Okay, Myra. I'll let you look at these. Different one way or another.
No, she said call her. She said
Mile
it was
west
on
of
your
New
phone.
Oh, I'm
Dirt
guessing
road.
that's what it is, but.
Yeah.
I was
They're
there
probably talking to you afterwards.
last week.
You
It
had
was
a
snow or
conversation
something. Huh?
with Nancy.
And we're there.
On that, on
Yeah.
Foundation 2? No?
You got more than one?
Oh.
Yeah, there's three pictures.
Okay.
That's farther away. There's another one
Oh.
besides that. What has happened, the sides of the bridge has come down. The south side here has dropped about a foot. He's got dirt on top of the road. I mean, it's sad. These pictures don't do it justice how bad that is.
Thank you.
It's very unsafe, but.
Well, if there anything else?
Nope.
Well, Myron, you hope you have a very Merry Christmas
You too?
and a good New Year's.
And you guys aren't meeting next week, is that
Not
the
meeting.
plan?
Yeah, that's correct.
Scheduling interviews, those that are willing to come in outside of phone type of deal, early part of next week type of deal. Plan on working some next week, but I'll take tomorrow off and do part of next week. Got a little bit more vacation on my books right now than what I'm supposed to carry over, so I'll use some of that used up here in the next 2.5 weeks.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, sir.
Did Randy happen to rip that road up there, the south and west sides, the 29th? Last week? They had trouble with the tires being blowed.
We did some work on 32nd, south west side.
Yeah, it's where you hauled,
Weekend?
where you hauled the asphalt in.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went out there and filled a number of those potholes
Okay.
with asphalt
Okay.
repair and type of deal. I had actually had a representative from laboratory, the material liquid that we added to that, come
Yeah.
out and take a look at it last week one day and
Good.
wondering from their perspective and how we did this.
Yeah,
if they had any suggestions. 'Cause if you did it with just rock, I think just getting it moist and doing some, you could shake things on the surface with a blade, it'd be all right. Well,
Okay.
because of how we did this with the asphalt millings, it was, in my mindset, act like chunks. We tried to do the same thing, and so I was debating about just trying to use dirty rock, Class A, and try to make it stick in there, or asphalt patch material. Thinking the asphalt patch material might work better. It's harder to work with this time of the year. I know the guys doing it were fighting it throughout the day, but I drove Friday night going home, and again Monday morning coming to work, and it's holding in there nicely at the moment.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it's a lot better than what it was. I
Okay.
didn't realize it had gotten quite that bad. I had taken
Okay.
a few calls early last week, the week before, that wanted me to be aware of it. A couple that knew I lived down that way, and figured I could easily look at it coming and going, and yeah, we made some improvements. So I think I know it's much better than it was.
Good.
I'm not sure if we can do much more than what we've done, but it's certainly better by far than what it was.
Okay, sounds good.
Gentlemen, do you have reports?
Landfill last Thursday night, not much to report.
Gary? I had a Central Iowa Juvenile Detention meeting. Most of the members, including myself, participated via Zoom. There was a few that were on site. It's more convenient doing the Zoom. 3 hours driving for an hour and a half meeting, and I've got the short drive. Some of these are coming much farther.
Where's, how far south does that go?
Well, I didn't bring the packet with me, but I've shown you the area before.
Yeah,
for
it's a
that group.
big area.
It's a big area, very big area. So,
We're kind of at the edge of that, ain't we?
no, we're just about in the middle. We're pretty close to the center of it. So, I will bring a map to show you next time. Yeah. The detention center is moving towards an area that is kind of lacking. Benton County houses juveniles in our jail. We're one of very few counties that will do that. And so the center is going to, there's kind of a fine line between an older, not tried as an adult juvenile, but problematic, if, for example, you get some juvenile that's up on a murder charge, for example, doesn't have much to lose, and you can wail on another detainee who maybe is 10 years old. And so what they're proposing is putting an addition onto their site up there to separate those individuals from the others, if you will. So that's about the only thing new that I can report. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's going on with all that. There's a problem. They figure there's about 40 juveniles in the state of Iowa currently that fall into that group. Yeah, that's a big number. So anyway, that was kind of the gist of it. That's the only meeting I had.
Where are those meetings held?
Eldora.
That is a long ways.
It's a drive. Yeah, it is. So that's one I don't mind doing the Zoom thing with. Quite honestly. Unfortunately, you don't get quite the interaction with the Zoom meetings. But
They're a little quicker too, usually.
Oh, they can be,
Or you get, yeah,
yeah,
it's worked both ways.
yeah. Well, if there isn't anything else,
Motion adjourned.
okay,
Second.
all right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.